Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. Let's get started. If you find these videos helpful, consider supporting me through Patreon. Hey, I'm excited to be here today. This is more going to be focused on project management using Tableau as a project manager. I know that typically Tableau is really great at doing visualization of data and doesn't do quite as good at some of the reconciliation between different data points. But I'm going to show you how you can use Tableau to provide a recon for your viewers or users. This is a project management line chart. You have different project statuses: complete, execution, on hold, and preparation. Across time, you've got a couple of different snapshots here, just hovering over. You've got on hold, and you've got a count. Well, the next obvious question is, what is happening here? What projects were what happened to the projects? Did they become off hold? Did a lot come on? Did a lot leave? Because there's a lot of moving pieces. And I'm going to show you how we're going to be able to provide a recon. So what I've created first is I've created this recon page. It's very messy, but it shows you how a project changes over time. You can see this one didn't change. It was execution the whole time. The one above it was preparation the whole time. We're not as interested in those projects. We just want to know the projects that changed. First things we have two things that we need to do to start off this. We're going to create two new parameters. The first one, we're just going to call this is selected snapshot. Going to make this a date, and we're going to make it a list so that it's only when it opens, it automatically populates by the snapshots that are available. And we'll just leave it at current snapshot for right now, because we're actually going to use the set parameter value dashboard action, which is going to be pretty cool. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to create another parameter, and this one is called, we want to call this the selected status. This is going to be a string, and the value is going to be populated by status. Now, they're probably not going to add any additional status categories, but just in case, I'm going to leave that as status. And current value is completion. That's fine. Now, I'm going to go here. I want to show you how this is going to work first. I'm going to show under the dashboard, I want to show what the selected snapshot is. Come down here to parameters and show the selected status. All right, so those are the values. We're going to come to dashboard actions, and we're going to end up adding two actions, but we're going to change the parameter count over time. That's the sheet. That's the only one we have available. The target parameter, the first one, is going to be the selected snapshot, and we are going to populate that based off of the snapshot value. Going to be on select. We'll call this assign snap. Oops. Having a hard time with my keyboard. All right, now we're going to assign another one. Change parameter value. We're just going to call this assign status. On select, the target parameter is going to be the selected status. The field is going to be the status. And I'm going to show you what happens here. This is important. We're going to pick the October 1st execution. October 1st execution. Let's come over here. January 1st preparation. Okay, and now nothing's selected. It just stays the old one. Okay, now we can come back here. Okay, first thing we have to do is we have to identify so we've got the current snapshot. That's the snapshot we wanted, and the selected status. We need to identify what the previous snapshot is so that we can tell if there's any change. So we're going to create a calculated field. We're going to call this Recon previous snapshot. And I apologize that my capitals are not all in the right place. My keyboard, I'll probably complain about this keyboard the whole time today. So we got to identify what the previous snapshot is. And if you looked at one of my previous videos on snapshots, this will show you what, this tells you how we do this. We're going to select max, and this is going to be if snapshot is less than the selected snapshot, then snapshot. So if we pick October, the next highest one will be September. If we pick January 1st, the next higher one will be December. All right, so that's our previous snapshot. Now what we want to do is we want to determine if there's been a change between whatever the selected snapshot is and the previous one. And the way we do that is, one, we're going to have to come up and calculate what the selected snapshot status was and what the previous one was. Okay, so we're going to I'm going to call these all recon so they show up in the same place in the table. And that'll be especially important if you have a lot of different measures and fields. Okay. Current status. All right. Make this bigger. And we have to, it always has to be an aggregate. I'm going to actually put fixed in here. Put the colon, put the colon, max, if snapshot equals selected snapshot, then status, end. This just needs to be an aggregate value. You could put min or average. Min and max actually work a little bit faster when you're talking about terms of performance. But it's coming through and saying, okay, we're looking for what the snapshot is, the current snapshot is. There's a lot of snapshots up here, but we're selecting one. And what we're trying to capture is, it may have changed. Maybe we had selected on preparation, but that particular snapshot, that particular project, I'll show you when we get a little bit later into it. All right, so we're going to do something very similar. We're going to duplicate this, and guess what this one's for? This is for previous. There is a slight twist to this one, though. Obviously, we want this, instead of being snapshot, we want this to equal, what do we call it? Recon previous snapshot. And then this, but we have one other complication we need to add. Else if, because what happens if it's in here? So if the recon previous snapshot is null, and I think we have to actually have the is null. Then we're going to call this new. And it must be another. Where's the error? Oh, I didn't put an end. I've got too many in here. That's the problem doing this live, is that people can see all your mistakes. So this is saying we're going to grab the value of this project, but if there isn't a previous project, if this is null because there's nothing there, then we're just going to call it new. All right. Select OK. So we got the current status, we got the previous status. Now we're going to say Recon and so this is going to be an if statement. So if, let me see here, if the recon status equals the selected status, or recon previous status, I may get this wrong, equals selected status. True, else false. So what this is saying, basically we want to know if a project was in execution and now it's no longer in execution. That would show the line going down. Or if the project is in execution, maybe it got added, right? So let's click OK. And let's put that on here and see what projects we want to be true. Let's see if this, we have 73. So that didn't work. And I did some research offline, and the issue is we've got this fixed function here, but we want it to look at each individual project separately. So we need to add project ID to this first row here. Select OK, and we're going to need to do the same thing for the previous status. All right. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. No, that's the right one. This should be, I deleted this from before. So we're going to put in, this is what we had before, but now we're going to add project ID because we want to calculate this at the project ID. Each ID is going to have a separate value. Okay. And now let's pull this off here for just a second. As we go across, you'll see that there is a, we'll bring over the current status and the previous status. And that should be a current, a previous status for each one. Yep, preparation, preparation, execution, execution. Let's find one that changed. And you can see here, even though the current project status for this snapshot is on hold, the one we are looking at, January 1st, is preparation. So that's what we wanted. So let's take a look at this again. So we want it to be either one of those is equal to the selected status. True. All right, so either one of those is the selected status. Now we are going to add another calculated field. This is called Recon status change. And this is actually going to be a little bit different, where we're going to say, we're going to start off easy. If the recon current status equals the recon previous status, then no change. That's pretty obvious. Else if the recon status, current status, equals the selected, right? The selected status, but the previous is not equal to the selected status. Oops. So if the current status, in this case here, it's preparation, but it wasn't preparation before, then this is something new. This is added. I'm just going to grab this line, Control C, Enter, Control V, oops. And so now we're going to change these signs here. If it's not equal to the selected status, but the previous one was, then this is going to say this one actually dropped. And that's this situation here where it was preparation, but now it's not. So we're going to say that that dropped. And there's one other one. We're going to say if the previous status equals new, then we're going to say that it was a new project, and we don't want to show those either. Everything else we're going to assume is no change. And we want to have it be the same capitals as above. All right, now let's see here. There's an error someplace. Oh, status. Oh, recon previous snapshot. We want this to be previous status. All right, so we'll apply that. And let's bring that over here so we can actually see what's happening. All right, so no change, that's right. This dropped, that's right. No change, this was added. Bunch of no changes. This one was dropped. Okay, I think that's going to work. Let's just double check. There's one scenario. Let's just double check preparation or on hold. And these are all showing up as added. The previous snapshot, let's see the selected snapshot. Show the parameter. Okay, that's the first one. We don't want that. Let's see what the previous status. Okay, so we need to come back here and change recon status change. This is not working right because this is saying we don't want this to be added. We want to show these as all new because this was the item we selected. The issue that we ran into is a little bit of a sequence of order. So the first thing, this evaluates sequentially, and it's come here and said, is the current status equal to the selected status? And these are all equal to, the current status is on hold, and the selected status is on hold. So that's true. The recon of the previous status, that is null, and null is not equal to the selected status of on hold. So it says, okay, this statement evaluates as true, and so we're getting added. The way we're going to get around that is we're actually going to move this whole thing up above here. And so now this is going to evaluate first. It's going to say, is this new? Okay, then we're going to add new. Then we're going to go to these others criteria. Let's go ahead and delete this. Apply that. And now you can see these are all new, which is what I was expecting. Recon status, put that here. We don't want new. We're going to pull this one off so that we can get all the options here. And let's pick a different snapshot. We can just do that here. Okay, we want dropped. This is a little bit tedious. Let's pick something else here. Let's see if we should be able to get added. Okay, so we want the dropped and the added. That's what we really want. All right. Now let's bring over Recon so we can start to see how things are looking. So let's pick here. Preparation went from 16 to 11. So that's a drop of 5. We can count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were dropped, but 1 was added. So that's what we were hoping to see, is how did the projects change? Because it's very fluid. Things are coming in, things are going out. Let's pick completion. This it's 20 now and was 17. We'd expect to get 3 added. We're not going to show anything for those. All right, now there are some in here that have new items that were added or should have been added. Let me see here. There's one other criteria that we need to add. And that criteria is for new projects. Let's see if we can find some of those that are brand new. So some of these down here, these projects were added at a later snapshot. And we're showing no change for November. So we're not going to have those show up. Let's pick a December. And let's also show the status. This is where it gets a little bit complicated. Okay, here's the on hold, right? So we want this should be showing as a new project. Now, what we can do, this is showing up as new. So let's come here to status change. Sorry this is taking so long, but it's very involved, isn't it? Finally, else if, let's see here. I'm going to say fixed. I'm going to say, no, yeah, we're going to say fixed. Count of snapshots. Is not equal to the fixed number of, and we want this to be fixed for the project ID. We just ran into that situation. And we're just going to say, in general, we're not going to even count distinct, just doing count of status. And what this is going to do, we've got to give it a value. I'm going to call this added. What this is doing is it's saying, give me the count of all the snapshots out there, all right? If all the count of all the snapshots doesn't equal the number of statuses, we don't care what the status is. In this case, we're going to have a status of 2, right? There's only 2 items, only 2 statuses. This one you're only going to have 1. The one above it's only going to have 3. The one above that's only going to have 5. If those projects do not equal the number of snapshots, then we're going to call this added. And so let's apply that and see if that does exactly what we're thinking. All right, so these are all being added. So let's bring these items over. We want it to be the selected status. We want to make that true. And so now it has to be, one of those have to be on hold. All those other ones disappeared. And now we can bring the product status change over, and we can have that equal added or dropped, and apply that. Okay, so now let's go to December 1 on hold. You can see it went from 12 to 7, so a drop of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dropped, 2 were added, and there we have your recon. Right? You can see how a project has changed over time, where it went next and where it came back. But this will tell you the projects that you wanted. Thanks for watching. Sorry it took so long. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that video helpful. Hit subscribe and the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Check out my other videos to learn even more about Tableau.